Cafecito con la Mera Wera. One cafecito at a time.
Okay. Hi everyone, welcome back to episode, I guess it's number 5 of Cafecito con la Mera Wera. Today we're going to be talking, amongst other things, about murder. So here I have with me a convicted murderer. Just kidding. Just kidding. This is going to be a treat though. I have Dr. Sanchez here who's, I can't even begin to put into 5 seconds what this man does. So he'll tell you, but basically he's a UN police officer, an author, a professor, a trial consultant, amongst many other hats. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Dr. Michael Sanchez. I actually grew up in New York. My favorite joke is that I'm an undercover Mexican because I don't look like a Mexican.
You look about as Mexican as I do.
Yeah, I get that a lot. You don't look like a Sanchez. I served in the Army. I started my police career in 1988 in Virginia as a deputy sheriff. Moved to the Valley in 1997. Worked for Port Isabel PD. Worked for the Sheriff's Department. Worked for Indian Lake. And then in 2005, I went to work for the United Nations as an international police officer.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how was it that you first initially decided to go into law enforcement?
I come from a family of service. My father is a retired Air Force. All of my uncles served, all of my sons served, I served. So when I got out of the Army, I was looking for something of service, and that's kind of what I do.
Yeah, I love it. And I like how you look at it from that perspective. I think a lot of people get into law enforcement for different reasons, but to go into it as a purely service sort of agenda, I think is beautiful in the way that it should be, right?
Yeah, it should be a calling. It should be something you want to do, not just a job.
Yeah, no, I love it. Okay, good. So at what point, you've done a ton of stuff, but at what point did you realize that you wanted to do something bigger than traditional policing?
The whole UN thing kind of happened by accident.
Yeah.
I had lost my job as a chief of police and I had no idea what I was going to do. Well, let me back up because it's a good story. When I was in Port Isabel PD, we had one guy who was working a UN mission who was a reserve on the rolls. We called them ghost reserves. He was on the rolls, but he didn't do any work.
Okay.
He comes back from his mission and his police license is about to expire. So he asks everybody for help and nobody would help him. And I didn't know this guy. But I told him, come back when I get off, and I did all his paperwork and fixed all of his training and got his license squared away because, I'll help people if they need it,
right.
So I spent 3 hours of my time to help this guy. 5 years later, lost my job as a chief. I have no idea what I'm going to do, and I run into this guy at the driver's license office.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, what's going on? And I tell him, and he said, why don't you get a UN mission? I said, yeah, I applied, but thousands of people apply for that.
Right.
He pulls out his phone and calls the lead recruiter for Civilian Police International. I'm in.
That was it.
Yeah.
Man, what's the look of the draw? They just saw this guy at the DMV or whatever.
I think whatever you do in life, life pays you back.
I like that, yeah.
And so I helped him. Somewhere down the line, he helped me.
Yeah.
So when I was in training to go to the UN, I was in a class of 102 American police officers, and they told us that we were selected out of 4,000 vetted resumes nationwide.
Wow.
So it's very hard to get into.
It's the cream of the crop.
Well, I like to think so.
Yeah, well, I do too. Okay, so you served in Kosovo and Haiti, is that correct?
Yeah, I did 3 years in Kosovo and 1 year in Haiti.
Okay, and so for people that aren't really familiar with the United Nations police, what do you do? What's your mission out there?
It depends on the mission. Each UN police mission has a different, what we call mandate, okay?
Okay.
Kosovo was a post-conflict province that had no government. So the UN police in Kosovo was actually an executive police force. They were the de facto police in Kosovo. And then it was also a nation building force. The UN police created, trained, vetted, mentored the Kosovo police service. So we created an organic police force for what is now an independent nation.
Wow.
In Haiti, it was different because Haiti was already a sovereign nation. Haiti was what we called a capacity building mission.
Okay.
So we were trying to enhance and build the Haitian police's capacity to handle crime.
can't even imagine. So was there like a moment when you were out there where you were like, wow, this is unlike anything I've experienced back home?
I've had a few of those.
Yeah.
I got called when I was in the Haitian police, or in Haiti, I got called to help the Haitian police serve a high-risk warrant in Camp Perrin. And the Haitian police were all terrified. So I'm scared shitless. I don't know what I'm getting into.
God.
So we go out to Camp Perrin, and I brought an FPU unit with me because they said it was high risk. I meet the Haitian police. They're all nervous about this arrest, and they hand me what they call the mandate. It's the warrant.
Okay.
And the charge is sorcery.
Sorcery, like magic.
Like witchcraft.
God.
So we go out to the middle of nowhere, type in Ascent of Nowhere, Haiti, and this place pops right up. Little stick and mud hut, and they knock on the door, and an old lady who is somewhere between 80 and 1,000 years old answers the door. And all the Haitian police are like terrified, and they step back of this woman. And it turns out she was a voodoo priestess.
Wow.
And what she was accused of was catching strangers, turning them into cows, and selling them at market.
I feel like I love her already.
And they were all deadly serious, terrified of her. And none of them would touch her. So I grabbed her and I put the handcuffs on her and I put her in my UN car. And she said something to me in Creole. And my language assistant said she just cursed me that I'm going to die in 8 days.
Well, here you are, years later.
Apparently she can't count, right?
And you're still a human, not a cow.
Yeah, well.
Please.
But I believe I'm the only American cop to arrest somebody for witchcraft.
Wow, yeah, I mean.
So that's when you realize you're on another planet.
You're on another planet, and you are a legend at this point. I mean, if you're the only one on the planet that's arrested somebody for witchcraft,
not on the planet, because apparently they do it in Haiti all the time.
God, I would have never known. Now I feel like I need to go to Haiti.
No, you don't want to go to Haiti.
I know.
No.
Have you been back?
No.
Okay, cool. So then you've had these crazy experiences, and then eventually you turn it into a book.
Yes.
Did you bring that book here today?
Right here.
Tell us about that.
So this book is about the years I spent in the UN, and it's about all the whole experience. Hyper diversity. I worked with police officers from 72 different countries.
Wow.
One of my students at UTRGV asked, and I actually counted, I have people from 55 different countries on my Facebook.
That's amazing.
So I understand diversity.
Yeah.
I lived a multicultural experience that most people can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And there were so many incredible experiences that came with working in the UN. One of the most deep experiences for me is Kosovo declared independence in 2008.
Okay.
And I was there.
Yeah, it's major.
And I wasn't a tourist.
Right.
I was a part of it.
Yeah.
I was in an executive level position. I was number 10 on the chain of command in the UN police at that point.
Wow.
To helping to bring the emergence of a nation. And that was a very deep and meaningful experience.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine. Wow. So then if somebody wants to read this book, well, what kind of audience is this book geared towards?
It's actually almost equal a autobiography and a book on leadership.
Yeah, so for anybody, really.
Yeah, a lot of my success is based on leadership skills.
Yeah.
That I learned through the Civil Air Patrol when I was young and through my whole career. And they all really came to point during my time in the UN because I rose very high, very fast in the UN. I started out in Kosovo in a counterterrorism task force.
Okay.
And they created this task force of 5 Americans to investigate a particular terrorist group in Peja. And the reason they created this task force is because all the Kosovo police officers investigating this terrorist group had been assassinated.
God, I don't know what's worse, that or the sorcery.
Well, I got my first job in a strange country because everybody else doing it got killed.
God.
So I was on the task force and we were involved in a gunfight in March of 2006. After the gunfight, I was promoted to instructor and firearms instructor at the police training center. Then I made deputy chief of training, and then I was promoted to the director of personnel administration, which was a huge promotion. It's like going from first lieutenant to brigadier general.
Okay, it's a real deal.
So it was really
major. Wow. Okay, so then you're off doing all this, but then you eventually come back and bring all those experiences here to the RGV.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, I left the UN after 4 years. It was the best experience of my life.
Yeah.
But UN policing is exhausting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You work 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, unless you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Add to that command level responsibility. I was in Haiti when the earthquake struck in 2010.
Wow.
So I commanded my region during the recovery and normalization efforts. And that just burned me out. And I could feel physical burnout.
Yeah.
So I got recruited by a company that runs immigration detention centers for the government.
Okay.
And they sent me to California to unscrew a severely screwed up training program. And then I got promoted to assistant project manager and moved right back to the Valley.
Yeah.
So for 6 years, I was second in command of the Port Isabel Detention Center.
Okay.
And I hated it.
Did you?
I hated the private sector because when I was in the UN, my job literally was to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
When I got into the private sector, my job was to make the people that own my company a little bit richer.
Right. And so, I mean, basically I've said, well, these private detention centers is basically a dollar sign on each person's head. Is that true, or am I just over exaggerating?
Yeah, well, no, it's a company and their job is to make money.
Yeah.
But their job isn't to make the employees' lives better.
Yeah.
Their job is to squeeze as much money out of a contract as they can.
And they're good at it.
They're good at it,
Yeah.
but I hated it because it was unfulfilling. So that's what led me to teaching.
Okay, great. So tell us what you teach and where you teach.
I teach criminal justice at UTRGV.
Okay.
And I never say I was lucky, because lucky in my career means I slipped on a banana peel and wound up in the UN.
Right.
I say I was fortunate.
Yeah.
There's some random chance to career opportunities, but you also have to seize and maximize those opportunities.
That's a good point.
But I led a very unique, very unusual career with a lot of unique experiences and lessons. And if I take those to the grave, then they're wasted. So I thought the most meaningful thing I can do with all of that is give it to future generations.
I love that. And I met some of your students, and they're inquisitive and smart, and feel like you're getting them ready to actually do real work once they get out.
Yeah.
So tell us, what do today's criminal justice students surprise you with?
With the fact that they're not, in spite of everything you see on television, they're not jaded by the perception of the criminal justice system.
I give them a few years.
Well, what I tell them, and I tell them the truth, the unvarnished truth of it, and I tell them what I want them to be is an agent of change.
I love that.
I want to feed people with the right mentality into the system, because that's where I can do the most good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you make a great point. You've been in policing for a million years. How has criminal justice changed since you first started and now?
Not as much as you would think it has.
Really?
Yeah. Police culture has pretty much been the same all along. I don't really think it's changed. The technology's changed and different things have changed, but the core of what criminal justice is, I don't think has changed that much.
Okay.
The police's perception of themselves has changed.
Yeah.
And I'm not fully on board with that change.
Right.
We got away from being public servants.
Yeah.
And now everybody wants to be tactical.
I see.
Right.
Right.
It's been my observation that cops want to play soldier and soldiers want to play cop.
Yeah.
So I think we need to get back more into a public servant role. You go around with a tactical vest with smoke grenades and everything else on it, you're not approachable.
Right. You look cool.
You look cool, you look badass, you look intimidating, but police are supposed to be approachable.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Growing up, I remember being told, well, if you have a problem and there's a police officer, go to them and they'll help you. If you're lost or whatever, go to them and they'll help you. But I don't tell my kids that these days, and I don't know exactly why, but I don't.
Well, because your kids wouldn't approach them anyway, because they're too busy trying to be badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I hated when I was a street cop is somebody's kid would be misbehaving and they'd say, if you don't stop crying, that police officer's going to arrest you.
Right.
And I would tell them, so if your kid ever gets lost or kidnapped, they're not going to come to me because I arrest kids for crying.
Yeah. You know what? I do that when I'm in the car with my kids and they don't have their seatbelts on. I'll be like, there's a police car right there. You better put your seatbelts on.
Well, that's fine, but I'm talking about misbehaving.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, good. All right, so do you have any advice for any student out there that wants to be a police officer or an investigator or work in the criminal justice system?
Yeah, first get an education.
Right.
Okay. There's a big push on right now in America that you don't need college because college doesn't teach job skills.
Right.
Okay, college isn't vocational. College isn't teaching you welding.
Right, hands-on.
Okay?
Yeah.
What college teaches you is foundational information upon which you build a career.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
So take statistics. I get asked all the time by my students, when am I ever going to use statistics?
Right.
Okay? But you're a police officer and your supervisor doesn't know how to make heads or tails of crime statistics, and you say, oh, I can help you with that.
Right.
It's a chance to build and to apply something and to move forward. And I've actually used statistics in my career.
Have you?
Yeah. So what it does is it gives you something to build on, and it gives you that foundation of knowledge that you're not going to get otherwise.
Right. Makes you more useful, I guess.
Yeah. Look, what I tell my students, they always, when they graduate, they say, what's your best advice?
Yeah.
And my best advice is learn everything you can about everything you can.
Yeah, that's good.
Because when you get started in any job, you're a police officer. You get paid for what you do.
Right.
You patrol, you make traffic stops, you answer calls. The higher you get in a career, you get paid less and less for what you do and more for what you know.
Yeah.
The more you know, the more valuable you are as you go up the chain, and you never know what little piece of information is going to make a difference.
That's true. And that's a good segue, because you have, well, let's just put it this way. We met, I guess, maybe like, what, 3 or 4 years ago, something like that?
7.
Has it been that long?
2019, yeah.
Golly. Okay, only, God, a long time ago, I guess. But the way I met Dr. Sanchez is we started bringing him in on some of our murder cases. And, you just said some small little differences can make the difference. And that's so true. I mean, you have been able to pinpoint things that I would never in my life see. And as a criminal defense attorney, seeing those things has transformed entire cases. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. So let's talk about exactly what you do to help me and other attorneys in murder trials.
Well, I look over all of the investigation, all of the discovery. My business partner, Dr. Marguerite DeWitt, is a retired forensic pathologist. And what we do is unique because investigation and forensic pathology are not adjacent, they're overlapping and intertwined.
Okay.
And a big mistake a lot of investigators do is they get the autopsy report from the forensic pathologist, and it's the last time they talk to them.
Right.
The forensic pathologist's opinion is not just medical, it's also circumstantial and situational. For example, if I tell the forensic we have a dead child with a fractured skull, I say, we have video of this kid trying to jump from one balcony to the other and falling. Cause of death, accident, or manner of death, accident.
Right.
I have video of 3 teenagers throwing this kid off the balcony. Manner of death, homicide.
Right.
So as you get new information, it could change the forensic pathologist's perception of the case.
Sure.
So what Dr. DeWitt and I do is we review cases together.
Yeah.
And that way we find all the little gaps of information that haven't been checked on. So we do that, and then we help prepare the attorneys for the trial. What additional information do you need? I enjoy prepping you for like cross-examination, what questions to ask. And I actually, as an expert, I feel better about my case when I don't have to testify.
Right.
I think a lot of experts want to testify for their ego.
Right.
If I'm right, then you can get everything important out of the prosecution's witness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've had cases where, Dr. Sanchez has been like, well, you need to question him about this and this and this and this. And it really, I mean, it catches those witnesses off guard because they're like, oh shit, like, how does, this little girl or, an old man know about these policing details? And we never would have until you come in and you tell us and teach us.
This is kind of my superpower. I don't just understand what police are supposed to be doing, I understand what they're thinking.
Yeah, that's great.
I worked on a case in Beeville where the client was charged with taking a weapon from a peace officer.
Okay.
The story was they got into a struggle, and when they went to ground, he took the officer's weapon. So reading the officer's report, he says, after I tasered the subject, I holstered my weapon, pressing down hard to ensure that I activated the secondary retention device. And that immediately sent my bullshit detector off, because cops don't write like that.
Okay.
You holster your weapon, period.
That's it, yeah.
So the only reason that he would put that in his report was because he didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I watched the body cam, and his particular model of holster, because I'm also a firearms expert, when you holster it, you hear click, click. And all you heard on his was no clicks,
click, click,
no
yeah.
clicks. So he had just set his weapon in the holster
Right.
and hadn't secured it. So when they went to ground, his gun flew out of the holster. And I can't even tell you why he did it. I teach firearms instructors, and I tell them, when you go to do qualifications, always watch the person that makes a beeline for the far right end of the firing line.
Okay.
Because all of police qualifications are timed.
All right.
Okay, because the immediate use of deadly force is the most dangerous thing. So they will say, on the whistle, draw and fire 2 rounds in 3 seconds. So you have to unlock your gun, get it out of the holster, and shoot. So what that person will do is set his gun in the holster and not secure it, because the range master can't see it because he's on the far side. So now he has a time advantage and he doesn't have to unsecure his weapon.
Cheater.
If you do that constantly, what do you think you're going to do under stress? You're going to set it in there like you always do, and that's what happened here.
God. Yeah, that's major.
Yeah.
And any layperson or even any attorney I don't think would ever catch on to that, because just no experience behind it.
Right. It's a depth of understanding that I have. And that particular case, the attorneys said, their own investigators said the stop was perfectly fine. And they asked me, did the officer do anything wrong? And my answer was, the officer did everything wrong.
Yeah.
But you have to understand what they're supposed to be doing in order to see it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of firearms, you actually took me, a brand new newbie, out to the firing range and taught me how to shoot.
Yeah.
And I hate to brag, but you did say I was a natural.
Yeah, well,
You had to say that.
I say that to everybody.
Well, I'm going to still say that I was a natural. And we were doing that to get prepared for one of our murder trials, correct?
Yes.
And so we're not going to talk about names or many details, but this particular murder case was a triple homicide, which means 3 people were dead.
Right.
Now, that was, my career has been shorter than yours, but that one will be the ultimate case, I think, in my career. What were your feelings about this particular case?
Cases like that are really, really hard because it was a self-defense case.
Right.
And in a self-defense case, you're already stipulating that they killed 3 people.
Yeah.
And what you have to prove is why he killed 3 people. Okay. So this gets into understanding the elements of deadly force, the elements that exist when you use self-defense.
Right.
And I had you shoot to kind of put you in his head and understand the experience and to kind of connect you to the dynamics of what happened.
Yeah.
Because we had you shooting at 3 targets.
Yeah.
Just to get a sense of it.
Yeah, and it really helped because, I remember during that trial, I had to put the client on to testify. And so him and I were standing up in front of a jury and reliving this moment that he had experienced. And if I wouldn't have gone out there shooting with you, it would not have been as real to me.
Right.
But shooting that gun, feeling it, and reworking the movements that happened at the shooting, I think was priceless. Because then him and I were able to really explain that to the jury, who acquitted him, by the way. And you really did teach me all the nuances of self-defense, because I remember having a conversation and I was like, well, how is it like this and how is it like this? But it is very detailed, that issue of self-defense.
Yes. It's like deadly force. You can't just say deadly force is common sense.
Right.
Okay? Because use of force, or common sense in the context of use of force, is different for a school teacher, for a nurse, for an MMA fighter, and a Catholic nun.
Right.
So who's common sense?
Yeah.
So there have to be parameters. So there are elements that make up deadly force, and there are elements that make up self-defense, and those elements have to be there in order for it to be legitimate. You can't just say common sense, because common sense isn't the same for everybody.
Yeah.
There has to be boundaries.
And that was major. Especially in this case, because, we were looking at this big, strong, young guy who, took down 3 elderly women, and so with this issue of from the perspective, we were able to show the jury, look, he is this big, strong guy, but he had a major head injury. And so that was what really turned the case, is we were able to let the jury see from our boy's perspective that he had this major disability that he was trying to shield himself from.
Yeah, he had a pre-existing head injury that was being exploited with a weapon of opportunity,
Right.
which had knocked him to his feet or to his knees so he couldn't escape. And if they kept beating on him, they could cause brain damage.
Right.
So the elements for self-defense are you can't escape, you can't defend yourself, and if you don't defend yourself, then you risk serious bodily injury or death.
Right.
And so he couldn't fight back, he couldn't escape,
Yeah.
and he couldn't defend himself.
Yeah.
And so the elements were met.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful case, and I will never in my life forget that, and I'll never forget what I learned from you in that whole process. But that's not the only one. We've had some where Dr. Sanchez is like, this is a loser case. We had one where, where my guy allegedly shot his neighbor, and I remember you coming in and you being very point blank with me and saying, a jury is not going to find self-defense on this one.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciate too, is that you're able to be very honest and be like, look, yes, because of this, or no, because of this. You remember that one?
Oh yeah, and my commitment in doing this is I call balls and strikes.
Yeah.
Okay, if the police were right, the police were right. If they were wrong, they were wrong. If the subject is right, the one thing that is very important to me is I am not the expert that makes up bullshit to get somebody off.
Right, yeah.
What happened, and I tell every attorney that hires me, you're paying for my time, not my opinion.
Right.
And what I find is what I find.
Yeah.
And I've refused cases.
Right.
Because they want me to make up some bullshit, and I said, no, look, your guy did it. There's no there.
Yeah.
And I won't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really the only way to go. And on this one where you told me, hey, jury's not going to do it, I had no choice, but I rolled with it, right? And they found him guilty, as you anticipated. But that process was interesting to me too, because we actually went down to the house where this shooting happened, and you were able to look at all the different angles and the ballistics and tell me exactly why you thought what you thought.
Well, he was claiming self-defense, and it wasn't self-defense, but it wasn't first-degree murder either. It was reckless, because we found a bullet hole in a static, I think it was a gallon oil jug. So I went and I measured the distances from the table, from the entry and the exit, and I calculated the trajectory and then measured that across the yard. And based on that and where the shell casings landed,
Yeah.
I determined that he had fired up over the fence
Right.
randomly like this and happened to hit the guy.
Yeah.
So, and he insisted it was self-defense, even though I told him point blank it
Right.
wasn't.
Yeah.
He could have, I don't know, copped to reckless homicide and gotten less than he got. But the ability to calculate the ballistics and stuff helps.
Yeah.
And I'm working on a similar case right now.
Yeah.
Where a little girl and her mother, well, she was 11 years old, are watching fireworks. So they're standing still on a sidewalk watching the fireworks, and the little girl falls down dead.
Oh my God.
And she got shot here, and the bullet exited her back. The police arrest two knuckleheads who were 465 feet away firing their 9mm pistols in the air.
Idiots.
Okay? So, yeah, they're idiots, but they're not murderers.
Right.
Because the entrance wound and the exit wound, and in measuring the depth, the downward angle of the bullet was 14.5 degrees.
Okay.
These guys had 9mm with a 3.1-inch barrel. At 465 feet, a 9mm downward angle is about 0.2 degrees.
Okay.
So how do you get 14 degrees?
Right.
You can't.
You don't.
If you're far enough away to get 14 degrees, the bullet is going so slow, it won't go through and through.
Oh wow.
Okay? So there's no way it was the 9mm. The bullet was going so fast, it went through and through, and then the police couldn't find the projectile. A 9mm will normally penetrate between 9 and 11 inches. The wound track was 15 inches. and had enough energy for the bullet to go off somewhere else and not be recovered. So what I calculated was the bullet hole, they're kind of elastic.
Okay.
But because of the size of the bullet hole, I calculated that if you had fired an AK-47 600 yards away, you would get a 14.5 degree downward angle.
Okay.
And an AK-47 round would have enough velocity to go through and through and keep on going. But it could not have been their guns from 465 feet away. So then the prosecution is saying, well, what if it ricocheted? Well, then you'd have an up angle.
I see.
And you would have a ragged entrance wound because the bullet would be deformed when it bounced off of the concrete or the cement or anything.
Right.
So the ballistics and the angles, they're very precise because it's physics.
Right.
The bullet acts like the bullet acts.
Right.
You know?
And numbers don't lie, generally.
Generally, yeah.
Wow, so then I wonder who did it.
Well, and this is the problem. There's so many idiots out there shooting their guns at New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And the police don't respond to all of them.
Yeah, it's too many.
I'm a sworn peace officer. When I hear people shooting on New Year's Eve, I don't even bother.
Forget it. Yeah.
Because by the time I call the police, they're in bed.
Yeah.
So somebody somewhere fired an AK or a similar weapon. It could have been any number of calibers into the air at just the wrong angle so that it came down where this little girl's standing.
Golly. Moral of the story, don't shoot your gun in the air on New Year's.
Yeah, don't be stupid.
God. And then, we had another murder case together. Actually, I think this may be the first one where I was working with you and Dr. DeWitt, but this was the one that, it was the stabbing where, this was a long time ago, and I don't remember a whole lot of the details, but I do remember thinking, God, they gave us, the state gave us a video of our guy coming out of the house. He was the only one there. It was really grainy. You couldn't see it. And I remember being like, well, we're cooked. Like, there's the guy, but you were able to look at the shoes and say, hey, that's not your guy. Those are the wrong color shoes. And my little eyes would have never noticed that.
They fell prey to one of the biggest mistakes police make in homicide investigations, and that's he was there, it had to be him.
Had to be him.
Okay. They had a ring video of the client knocking on people's doors in the neighborhood. He was looking for work, I think doing yard work. And in that video, he's wearing very blue jeans and black sneakers.
Right.
And the video of the murderer leaving the house was from across the street on somebody's security camera.
Yeah.
So all you saw was from the waist down.
Yeah.
You saw a pair of legs leaving the house. But it was very small in the screen. So using VLC, which is just a commercially available program, I zoomed in just on the door.
Yeah.
And the person walking out of the door was wearing black jeans and white sneakers.
Wrong guy.
Yeah, wrong guy.
And this was a guy that could have easily gotten a bajillion years in jail, and we got him credit for time served, and
They gave him a save face charge and time served.
Yeah. I mean, God, I will never forget that, because if it weren't for that, my defense would have, I don't even really know what my defense would have been, but that was just like, the minor detail that totally changed this guy's life. And so how often do your cases turn on something so small as like a tennis shoe?
A lot, more than you would think. Because, and this details work with witness statements and subject statements. Take our triple homicide.
Yeah.
His story never changed from day one.
It's true.
Now, when somebody's lying, this is what happens. They ask me, have you seen Sarah? I haven't talked to Sarah in 6 months.
Right.
Okay, well, here's your phone record saying you talked to her. Okay, well, I talked to her on the phone, but I haven't seen her.
Right.
Okay, here's a ring video of your car in her neighborhood. Well, I drove through her neighborhood, but I didn't actually see her. Okay, here's a neighbor's video showing you knocking on her door. Well, I knocked on her door, but she wasn't home. So if their story changes with details, then they're lying.
Busted.
This guy's story never changed.
Right.
And the details, when I teach homicide investigation, because I teach a homicide investigation class at the university, if your theory of the case is right, all the little details in the case go click.
Yeah.
If your theory of the case has you saying, well, what about this? This doesn't make sense, then you have the wrong theory of the case.
And is that when you sometimes see detectives or investigators getting tunnel vision on certain things?
Yeah, I call it target lock.
Okay.
Because you're in a room of people and someone gets murdered.
Yeah.
Everyone is a suspect.
Sure.
And you start eliminating suspects. The problem is, let's say I think you're the person that did it. My investigation becomes proving you did it.
Right.
And once I get, that's target lock.
Okay.
Once I do that, I start viewing all the evidence in the context of it has to prove you did it. Okay? And that leads to confirmation bias.
I do that to my husband all the time. I'd be like, you're the one that left the dishes out. And it turns out it wasn't him, but yeah, I get it.
So let me give you an example of confirmation bias. Can I search your car? No. See, she did it.
Yeah.
She won't let me search her car.
Right.
Can I search your car? Sure, yes you can. See, she knows I'm onto her. She moved the evidence. So confirmation bias is twisting everything to conform to your theory of the case.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Okay, so then what's the biggest myth about murder investigations?
The biggest myth is that your gut is always right.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
And this is actually, TV hurts this a lot.
Yeah.
Investigator who doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah.
Who breaks all the rules because he's following his gut.
Right.
And he's never wrong.
And they're the hero.
Right.
Yeah. And they do it all in 30 minutes.
Right. And the thing is, you can't follow your gut. You can pay attention to your gut.
Right.
But all right, wait, back up. Being a good investigator, especially in homicides, requires two contradictory personality traits.
Okay.
You have to have the courage and the confidence to follow your instincts, but you also have to have the humility to where, with every new piece of evidence, you're willing to reevaluate everything and entertain the possibility you've been wrong.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Once they say, my gut says she did it, everything they see in the context of you did it. And that's what leads to a lot of problems. Yeah.
Is eyewitness testimony reliable?
It can be.
Yeah.
But you have to take totality of the circumstances and context.
Right.
I'm working on a case right now where the girl lied.
Okay.
And the police say she's guilty because she lied. Okay, people lie.
Yeah.
People lie for many different reasons.
Right.
I worked on a case when I was a police officer where a man was there and we know he was there, but when we interviewed him, he said, I wasn't there. He lied.
Right.
Now, does that mean he committed the murder?
No.
A lot of police would make that connection. So when somebody lies, you have to find out why they lied. And it turned out this guy was cheating on his wife with another woman, so he didn't want to be put at the scene because he'd have to have some explaining to do.
Yeah.
We're working on a case right now where something got stolen from a girl's store and she hid it from her bosses, probably trying to find out who took it and recover it.
Oh.
So she lied to protect her job, but the police assume she lied because she did it.
Because she's guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And I can see how a police investigator can jump to that conclusion, because I think humanly, that's what we naturally do.
Well, and this is another big mistake, is jumping to conclusions, making assumptions.
Right.
Okay. I also do talk about this when I teach homicide. A female victim is murdered in her house and there's no forced entry. What does that show? What does that prove?
That it was somebody she knew.
No, it proves there was no forced entry.
Yeah.
Okay? Once you say it was somebody she knows, you stop looking at all the other possible avenues.
Sure.
So what you have to say is it only proves there's no forced entry, and then you have to say, how many different reasons could there be for no forced entry? Does anybody have an emergency key? Does she have any exes who had a key? Does she keep a spare hide key and a fake rock in her yard?
Right.
Is she known to leave her doors open?
Yeah.
Is she known to leave her keys in the car? Are there any defective doors or window locks in her house?
Right.
Has she been to somewhere that has valet parking recently? Because they get a hold of your house keys.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you start eliminating those, and then you know which one it is.
Yeah.
But the minute you make an assumption, you cut off all those other avenues of investigation.
I would never even think about a valet key guy.
It happens.
Wow. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk, just a little bit about DNA. Is DNA the gold standard people think it is?
It can be.
Yeah?
But in a larger sense, all of the new technologies in investigations make some police officers think the technology will solve the crime for you.
Right.
And to my mind, all that technology should validate good police work, not replace it.
Yeah.
So let me give you a simple example. When I first started in police, I would ride with other officers and they would all leave their radar on.
Okay.
And the radar was set to make a little screeching sound if somebody was exceeding the speed limit. So it would make a screeching sound and they would look, and whatever car they saw, they'd pull them over and give a ticket.
Right.
They're letting the technology do their job for them.
Got it.
And how do you know that was the person speeding?
I always wondered that.
What I did was I left my radar on standby. And then when I saw somebody that looked like they were going too fast, I'd hit transmit and lock.
Yeah.
So I'm allowing the technology to verify my police work,
Right.
not replace it.
Seems like the less lazy way of doing it.
It is,
Yeah.
and people might say it's efficient,
Yeah.
but so you can't use any forensics to replace good police work. It should
Right.
enhance your police work.
Yeah.
Like DNA can only prove you were there,
True.
okay?
True.
His DNA was on the weapon, yeah, but it was his weapon,
Right. Right.
okay? His DNA was in the house, okay? Did he know those people? Has he been there before?
Right.
So you still have to do good police work behind all of the DNA.
Right.
The DNA can do a lot of things, can prove unequivocally that someone was there,
Right.
but all of it has to be viewed in the context of common sense.
Right. Yeah.
I broke a 40-year cold case in Maine. We worked on a case in Maine, and there was 4 unidentified male DNA profiles on this girl's underwear,
Okay.
and 1 DNA profile inside of her.
Okay.
Okay, and the police assumed the guy who put it inside of her murdered her.
He's the guy. Yeah.
Okay, but according to the victimology, which is understanding who the victim was, this girl was the town whore.
Yeah.
Now, do you kill the town whore for giving you what you want, or do you kill her for not giving you what you want?
Right.
So you have to look at that DNA in the context of common
Yeah,
sense.
that's a good point.
And that was a great case because, like we were talking about, learning everything,
Yes.
there were tire marks on that tire tracks that they used as evidence, and they were from a pickup truck, and the front tire was an aggressive snow tread,
Okay.
and the rear tires were all-season radials. And this was in Maine. And that told me 2 very important things. That was a pickup truck kitted out as a snowplow,
Okay.
because you have to have the aggressive tires on the front so you have directional control
Right.
when you're plowing. Do you know how I know that?
I don't, from Brownsville, Texas. Sure
I drove a
don't.
snowplow when I was 16.
My God.
So you never know
Yeah.
what little thing you learn
Yeah, along the way.
is going to make a difference along the way.
Do you remember that movie? Oh God, what was it called? It was about that kid from India, and it was called the Millionaire. I don't remember. Anyways,
Slumdog Millionaire?
this one. But the point of that movie was that every small little detail that he learned along the way, whether it be, from the neighborhood or whatever, took all those pieces and then used it,
Yeah.
to, win this big prize. But it's kind of similar.
Knowledge is cumulative,
Yeah.
and you never know when it's going to matter. The other thing those tire marks told me, the guy who is right now in prison for this crime bought his truck in May of 1980, and the girl was murdered in July of 1980. How do you know those weren't his tire marks?
Right.
Who buys a truck in May and takes off the brand new tires and puts on a mismatched set of snow tires in July?
Yeah. Nobody.
Nobody. So what it proves is that the tire marks that they were using as evidence had been on the road for at least a year,
Yeah.
because it was somebody who had them on for the winter and just left them on.
See? I mean, it's like one of those aha moments.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay, good. So we're going to move on to our lightning round. So what that means is I'm going to ask you quick questions, and you just give me the first answer that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Hardest evidence to interpret.
Witness statements.
Okay. Favorite piece of forensic technology.
It's actually not a piece of technology, but my favorite forensic element is algor mortis. It is the body temperature,
Okay.
because body temperature can tell you a lot. And we've cracked like 6 child homicides based on body temperature
Yeah.
alone. Body temperature can't tell you when someone was killed precisely. It can give you a range, but what it can tell you definitively is when they weren't killed. Okay? One of my favorite cases, it was one of the first ones we worked, was a child homicide where the mother had the child all day long, gives the child to the father, and in 3 minutes the father's calling for help because the baby is not breathing. It's pale and waxy. It's cyanotic, which means its lips are blue. Half an hour later at the emergency room, the baby's body temperature is 91 degrees.
Yeah.
The body loses 1.5 degrees of body temperature per hour if they're dead. So if this baby lost 6 degrees of body temperature, that's 4 hours if it were dead, and it weren't dead, it was almost dead.
Right.
So I can't tell you exactly when the fatal injury was inflicted, but I can tell you when it wasn't.
Right.
And it wasn't when the father had the child.
Major.
Right. So it's not only important to look at when things happen, but to look at when they didn't happen.
Right. Yeah, that's good. What case made you the proudest?
Probably the triple homicide.
Me too. That's a good one.
But also the shoe guy, because I think we've had 2 or 3 cases where the prosecution never even finished their case.
Yeah.
And they threw up their hands and gave you a deal.
Dunzo.
And those to me are the ones I'm proudest of.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. What's one mistake that you've seen young lawyers make? Besides not hiring you on their murder cases.
Yeah, that's the big mistake. Actually, I have a saying, and that's that you can be too good a lawyer to be a good lawyer.
Okay.
Lawyers in law school, you're taught to see the law clinically and technically.
Yeah.
But a jury is made up of human beings.
Yeah.
And they're not into...
They don't care.
They're not into technical, like... I actually served on a jury in 2023, and I didn't think I had a chance at getting
I
empowered.
remember that, yeah.
But I loved it because I felt like Diane Fossey watching gorillas in their natural habitat.
Yeah.
I was watching jurors in their natural habitat. And they're human beings.
Yeah.
And you can say, look, I don't have to prove anything because it's their job to prove it, but a jury wants you as the defense to prove something.
For sure.
The law says you don't have to testify against you, and you don't have to testify, but they can't be held against you. But human beings think if you were innocent, you'd say so.
For sure.
So you have to realize that the law is the law, but a jury is human beings.
Yeah.
And you have to bridge those.
Right. So what's one thing, after having your experience as a juror, what's one thing that you think jurors should remember?
Keep an open mind. Don't make assumptions.
Right.
Okay? The case I worked on was a child molesting case. And we had this one juror that as soon as we deliberated, she said, he's guilty.
Yeah.
Okay, why? Because he was cheating on his wife.
Dirty bastard.
What does that have to do with the case?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he was cheating on his wife, so he's guilty.
Yeah.
So she made an assumption
Yeah.
rather than looking at the case.
Yeah.
So I would say jurors need to try not to be as much of a human being and be more technical.
Right.
Because the question is, remember last week I was in a murder trial. And there was literally not one shred of evidence. We talked about this,
Yeah.
right? The only evidence they had was a car the same color as the client's car was in the area when the murder happened.
Right.
And the jury convicted him.
Yeah.
Because he was there, it had to be him.
Had to be.
Okay, so if you're a jury, look at what they're actually proving, not what they're suggesting.
So jurors need to be more technical and lawyers need to be more human. And then
Right.
it's a perfect marriage.
Well, no, lawyers have to be technical,
Yeah.
but they have to bridge that to the human.
Right.
It's like, I love the theory and application argument.
Yeah.
What's more important? And my answer is both.
Yeah.
You have to understand the theory,
Right.
and then you have to bridge it into a practical application. One can't stand without the other because theory informs application, and application gives you the data for theory.
Yeah. It all goes hand in hand.
Yeah, so same thing with a lawyer. Be the technical lawyer, but bridge it into human terms.
Yeah. You have been a pleasure. Where can people find your book if they want to buy it?
You can buy my book on Amazon. Just look up my name and it'll come up. And I really enjoyed talking.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that afterwards you're going to be like, damn it, Sarah, you should have asked me this?
Oh gosh, let me think.
If not, it's because I did a great job.
Well, you did. Let me see if I...
By the way, I always ask my clients that when I have them on the stand. I'll say, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you need to tell us? And sometimes the other side will object. But a lot of times it gets whatever needs to be said out last second. It's a little trick of the trade.
Yeah, the only thing is that I loved Kosovo so much I brought it home with me.
I have noticed.
Yes, I married in Kosovo, Albania. We've been married 20 years now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that place is my second home. I loved Kosovo. I hated Haiti.
Yeah.
There's a
The
lot.
sorcery didn't speak to your heart?
No, there's a lot of Haiti has a very unique culture.
Yeah.
And we're not going to change it.
Right.
And there's a lot of murder and a lot of kill. Part of my job was teaching the Haitian police how to investigate murders.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of killing in Haiti.
It's wild.
But Kosovo wanted independence. They wanted progress. They wanted development. And every time I go back, they're a little better off. There's a little more progress, and it always makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And I actually worked, my counterpart when I was director was the Deputy Commissioner for Administration for the Kosovo Police. She did 5 years as the president of Kosovo.
Wow.
And she's a friend of mine. She actually gave a video lecture for one of my classes.
See, you've got people in high places.
Including you.
Yeah, you're a fancy fellow. Yeah, well, no, your wife is lovely, and what's cool about her is that she's like the ultimate cheerleader. I mean, she's like, supports you and proud of you, and so she's great. So, yeah, if I ever have an opportunity to go to Kosovo, I'll go. And Haiti, now I know I probably won't.
Yeah, don't. But any country you go to, let me know. I can probably get somebody to meet you at the airport.
All right, y'all heard it here. I've got a trip planned to Kosovo. Thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and go buy that damn book. Bye.